Jujutsu Kaisen Modulo Chapter 13 spoilers are here, and whew. Okay, so first things first, most of y'all know the drill, but for anybody new here, when we handle these spoilers like this, we have very rough translations, so we are just going to be going over the general idea of what happens in the chapter. Where we have some good translations or it's obvious what's going on, I'll dive into that. But for the most part, we're just going to hit the broad strokes of what happens in chapter 13. So come back on Sunday when the official release drops, and that is when we will go page by page, panel by panel, and do the full breakdown. But with that out of the way, let's get into it. Okay, so chapter 13 begins with Maru standing over Cross's body, which is just like laying out on this gurney hospital bed looking thing. We then see that there are other people in this room with Maru as well, including Oski, Jabaloma, and some unnamed Samorians. And somebody says, why did they shoot Cross? And someone says, well, Cross was reaching for his sword. And Oski says, no, he wasn't. Cross, as if he wasn't reaching for his sword. He was fighting for peace, for coexistence. And he goes, plus, if he had been wanting to be aggressive, there's no way he would have let that guy's trash Rolaluka hit him, referring to, the guy that shot him. And Jabaloma chimes in and says, yes, Cross was fighting for us, for peace until the very end. And Oski was like, don't talk like that. Don't talk like it's over. So the implication in this scene seems as if Cross is dead, and basically everyone is just coming to grips with that. But Oski isn't ready to accept it. In fact, Oski just goes on to fully crash out, screaming that this bastard won't die that easily. I refuse to accept it. So it's kind of hard to parse like what actually is happening here. If he is just fully stone cold deceased and Oski is in denial, or if maybe he is still alive, but it's just not looking good. We then cut to Tsurugi, who is approached by the girl with pigtails and glasses, and also the girl with the crazy looking eyes. And we see them basically tell him what happened. They tell him that something has happened to Usami and it's not looking good. And they're very worried about him because Usami does not know how to deal with the feedback, the blowback from cursed speech. Like, he's not good at RCT, so they don't really know what his status is. The girl basically goes on to describe just how powerful Dabra is, and that he is a threat that you just have to run away from. Like, he is a threat that doesn't even fit into their current classifications. He is more like a disaster or a calamity. We then cut to a flashback of what actually happened at the end of last chapter when Dabra showed up after Cross got shot. And we see that he immediately just goes and cleaves off the arm of the guy that shot Cross. Just like in an instant, the dude's arm is gone. And immediately Usami, like sensing things are going crazy, goes to cast his curse speech, but his throat just basically explodes, even attempting to command Dabra. Because if you recall, the way curse speech works is the bigger difference in power between you and the person you're trying to command, the more feedback damage you will get. And we're told that Usami wasn't even trying to do anything crazy. Like, it wasn't as if he was telling Dabra to explode or blow up. He was probably just saying like, hey, stop. And even that just destroyed his throat. So Usami like falls to his knees, and Dabra like looks at him and he's like, that doesn't look fun. And Usami is basically just like begging him like, hey, like, we're sorry, like, please, like, let us have another chance to talk about this. Like, please give Peace Chance another opportunity. Usami is essentially just begging like, hey, like, don't kill us all, okay? This was like a misunderstanding, like, we can still salvage this. And then Usami basically just collapses. And something fun apparently about this page, and I think Usami's speech, is that there's a reference to Crollo and Meteor City from Hunter x Hunter. So I'm not exactly sure what that reference is, because again, the nuance is lost in these rough translations, but apparently Crollo and Meteor City are referenced. So it's a little bit of a perhaps in-universe joke related to Hunter x Hunter, or perhaps just like a meta joke from Gege related to Hunter x Hunter. It's hard to tell, but cool. We then see Dabra react to this. He basically has like a stone cold face, but he basically gives an acknowledgement, aka, I'm not going to kill everyone here right now, and we can continue to have peace talks. And then we kind of cut away from this flashback and we just get some narration that basically says like the diplomat from Simoria has put forth a decree protecting all cursed spirits from henceforth, and that no more exorcisms of cursed spirits will be allowed. You then cut to like a big round table of all of like the human higher ups. I'm not saying they're literally the higher ups, but just the people that make the decisions, right? Including Eyes Girl and Pigtail Girl. And here is just a ton of dialogue. And again, we're missing a bunch of the nuance, right? But apparently they're just talking about this demand being like, isn't it ridiculous? How can we protect cursed spirits and stop exorcising them? Plus, some spirits have started to escape Tokyo now, because remember, they had all the spirits contained to Tokyo previously. And they're talking about like, are the barriers failing? And apparently there's mentions of Sukuna here, saying like it wasn't the barriers that were keeping them in, it was Sukuna. And I'm assuming this is in reference to how Sukuna's remains were placed up because they had Tengen within them, and that was maintaining Tengen's barriers. So I think that's what the translation is trying to say. But they're basically saying that, you know, since we aren't exorcising cursed spirits anymore, they're starting to like roam out past Tokyo, like into Shibuya and other places, right? And then apparently there's a mention of Toto in here, but I don't know if I trust that translation. So, you know, I'm not really going to speculate on that. We'll come back on Sunday to find out, but maybe Toto is mentioned at some point in this discourse. There's basically just a couple of pages of dialogue between all these human dignitaries, and then we cut to 1 month later, and there's basically some line from Mino that's like, we haven't been able to do much in the past month. And then we jump to Oski, who is surrounded by a few other Samorians, and here there's a ton of dialogue as well. But what seems to be happening is that there may be like a secret group of Samorians that are still exorcising cursed spirits, like in order to help humans and help this cursed spirit problem that is quickly getting out of control. Now, that might be wrong, so again, take that with a grain of salt, but apparently they're like doing it at secret times during the day, and it's like a rogue faction that, of course, it's, if they get found out, would be very bad because it would be viewed as traitorous, right? But essentially they're doing their best to kind of broker this coexistence. So the idea I'm taking from this is that Cross really got through to Oski, and now he's kind of carrying that torch, doing the best he can to help that mission of peace. So perhaps he's out there exercising cursed spirits for humans when he can. But that might be completely wrong, but that appears to be what's going on in my opinion. We then go over to the humans again, where we're at kind of a round table discussing some things. And apparently the topic of discussion is how the Samorians want to take over Tokyo, that they will basically live there from now on. And again, this cursed spirit protection is to continue. And they're basically talking about the logistics of that. Like, how are we going to set this up? How are they going to build like places there? Like, it's just talking about all of that type of stuff. And then we cut over to Nobara. We then cut to Nobara sitting on a couch, and the narrator says like Miss Kugasaki's testimony. So apparently this is perhaps like a recording of something she gave them. Maybe this isn't happening right now in the present. I'm not really sure, but this is Nobara's testimony, and it appears to be about Yuji. She's talking about how she hasn't seen him in a while, and the last time she did see him was at a funeral. But she talks about, you know, he looks so scary and muscular, but we all know how he's so delicate on the inside. And I think the funerals just got to him. He said that he's not going to be attending the ceremonies anymore because it's too hard for him to say goodbye. And there might be some more stuff she says in there, but that's apparently the gist of it. And the final page of this chapter talks about how the next meeting is approaching, the next step in these talks between humans and Samorians. Dabra will be the representative for humanity, and Yuka will be the representative for the Earthlings. And we get a full page panel of Yuka, and she is looking worse for wear over this past month, and that's where the chapter ends. Absolutely insane chapter, even without really knowing the nuance of the translations here. It does appear as if Cross has died, so KK, I swear to God, but like aside from that mention at the very beginning, like it was never brought up again, and for all intents and purposes it appeared as if everyone was treating him as dead in those first couple of pages, except for Oski. But him not accepting that felt more like denial than like, oh, he still might be alive. And with no other mention of him, you know, I don't know. And no other mention of Maru. Like, what the hell has he been doing for the past month? You know, like, So crazy. Nobara shows up talking about Yuji. Maybe a Toto mention. Maybe a Crollo Hunter x Hunter reference. Like, I cannot wait for the actual translations here so we can really dig in. But regardless of translations, it appears as if these happy days are far behind us now. But y'all let me know your thoughts on this absolutely insane chapter down below. And as always, thank you for watching. Like, seriously, as I'm recording this, it's almost 4 a.m. on Thanksgiving Day here in America. So happy Thanksgiving to my fellow Americans here. But I just wanted to truly say how thankful I am for each and every one of you that are a part of this community. You're amazing, and I really appreciate it. So, again, let me know your thoughts. Join the Discord, talk with us there, and I will see you guys in the next one.